Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect. We're jumping right in to a Black-Red Reanimator versus Matt on Eureka. Matthew versus Matthew. Only one will prevail here. Chancellor of the Annex so far preventing Matt from doing anything with Eureka. And now Collective Brutality. And that's going to strip a card out of his hand. Couple of Tropical Islands. A totally safe card in this matchup. One of the strengths of traditional show and tell decks. The ability to stay away from dual lands unless absolutely necessary. And we've got a Brainstorm, which resolves, and then Force of Will being taken. There's a Omniscience, Gristlebrand, and Force of Will left. So it leaves us wondering what's left on top of the library. A Lotus Petal, and a fetch land. This Reanimator deck not coming together as quickly as it needs to. Cannot sleep on this Eureka deck. It will just end things if you give it the time. Ancient Tomb now in hardcast Force of Will territory. Oh, and Matthew stumbling badly here with Reanimator. Matt has drawn Intuition. He can actually Intuition right now, grabbing the show and tells. No real reason to pass the turn and wait. A single show and tell making it into his hand, and now he can fetch and actually cast show and tell, leaving a Lotus Petal. Doesn't really matter too much at this point. He's going to be show and telling in. And we've got an Ashen Rider. Ooh, and I believe this, maybe we're in game number 2 here. That caught me by surprise. That is not a thing that you'd expect game number 1. Looks like we've got a Ashen Rider that will run away with this game. So Omniscience put in. Ashen Rider destroyed it before Matt could actually cast any spells. All he had to go along with it was Gristlebrand. It's a bit of a gambit. If he had Cunning Wish, he still would have gotten there, despite the Ashen Rider. And no, instead, Black-Red Reanimator. And now we understand exactly what was going on there. Very interesting. So Ashen Rider coming in and blowing up Omniscience. Makes sense why Matthew kept that hand. It looked like an error from where I was sitting, not realizing it was already... Oh, was it game 1? I got no idea what's going on now. Looks like they're both making some significant sideboarding changes, if not sideboarding altogether for the first time. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to put a win up for Matthew, just so I can keep this straight in my head, and we'll see. Maybe that is game 1. Maybe Matthew won game number 1. We'll see at the end of this game. When we started the video, they were already in the middle of playing, so that could have been just a late start or a very late start. We'll see. Now, Ashen Rider, I think, isn't going to work out too well with Veil of Summer anyways. Veil of Summer is such an amazing card. It's like the whole point of this Eureka Tell build. Veil of Summer can actually trump the Ashen Rider thing because it gives your permanents hexproof from black. Oh, is it just spells? I'm going to check. Let's see if I can look at this. Draw a card if opponents cast a black or blue spell. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and your permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black. Yeah, not blue and black spells, just actually blue and black. So here we go. Tormod's Script. One being paid to get around that Chancellor. Matthew still leading out with Dark Ritual into a Thoughtseize. He targets Matt, and he sees a dangerous hand with Emrakul and Show and Tell, along with a Spell Pierce. He takes the Show and Tell, not as worried about Spell Pierce at this time, allowing the untap. And Matt going to preordain. He goes top and bottom. Ancient Tomb comes down, and we're going to see an Emrakul on the next turn, potentially. Thoughtseize. Show and Tell will allow for Emrakul at any point now. Reanimate, targeting the Chancellor. That gets Spell Pierced. And Matt keeping a blue mana up, not using the Brainstorm. Perhaps waiting as long as possible. He's going to pick those cards up and fire off this Brainstorm now. And Brainstorm does so much work in this deck, it can smooth everything over. It looks like a Eureka in hand. And that may need to hide on top of the library. No, Eureka being kept in hand. It is Ashen Rider. Not actually going to stop Eureka from wreaking havoc now that he's got a Emrakul and a Gristlebrand. I think he can potentially just go for it here. Matthew working off just this Blood Crypt. It is nice to see a deck like Reanimator able to function without duels. That's not optimal, but you know what? Sitting at home and not playing is as far from optimal as you can get, so bravo to Matthew for showing up and rocking this Black-Red Reanimator deck. May he get Badlands in the future. But for now, go out there and have some fun and find yourself in the finals, which is exactly what he's done here. And it looks like we got a judge call. Matthew getting out of his seat to ask about an interaction. Exhume, Unmask, and Dark Ritual, I believe, being shown to the camera. Of course, if you're ever looking for dual lands, this is the place to go. We specialize in all of the oldest Legacy staples. Anything that you need, I likely have, and if I don't have it on hand, I am very well connected to Magic dealers that have been with the game since the very beginning. Known them for a very long time and can always get whatever you need. Matthew considering his options. So if he does play Eureka here, both players will be able to take turns putting in permanents, and this Ashen Rider not gonna do enough. So Gristlebrand, Ashen Rider, Omniscience, and Emrakul. All the things. Now we're going to have a triggered ability resolve from Ashen Rider. He's going to get to choose what he wants to blow up. He'll go with a Emrakul. And he's going to attempt to Pyroblast this Omniscience. And now he can draw 14 cards. He can Brainstorm. I don't think he... Did he only draw 7? Not sure how his life is so low. I thought he actually drew 14. Oh, yeah, I think that was just an error. He should not have brainstormed there. So Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal, Show and Tell. Into another Omniscience. And casting Emrakul. And just like that, spectacular fashion, Matt taking it down. Let's see if there's going to be another game. It looks like it will be. Looks like they're going to be going into game number 3. Matthew not de-sideboarding, so Ashen Rider main deck. A very interesting metagame choice. Sorry for the break there. It doesn't look like we missed anything, just sideboarding. And of course we run everything here on fast effect at double speed to try and cut down on any dead time. Both players are going to be mulliganing. Looking for that game number 3. Both very powerful combo decks using Gristlebrand in wildly different ways. Black-Red Reanimator bringing him back from the graveyard as early as turn number 1. Eureka a little bit slower, but with the luxury of having some blue permission, things like Force of Will to protect the combo. Matthew going to have Discard to protect the combo, and Matthew going to have Matthew on the other side going to have a Veil of Summer to potentially counteract that discard. So really a fascinating matchup. These guys could play this match a dozen times, and every time it could play out very differently. There's going to be blazing fast wins, train wrecks, wars of attrition. What will we see here in game number 3? Ooh, those cards don't even look like they're from the same card game. A Force of Will and a Spell Pierce. Does he even have a blue land in there? He's got to keep on 5. And this is not a good look. Dark Ritual right out of the gate. Entomb. And this is a tough one to let resolve. Entomb might be wrong to not Force a Will that. It's going to make all of his other animates better. We got a Force of Will, pitching Spell Pierce, 1 mana floating, and passing the turn. But Matthew has done step 1, which is create a lethal graveyard. And now we've got to reanimate. Oh, and just like that, it is immediately punished. This one resolves. That's tough to see. I mean, just in my experience, I find keeping that creature out of the graveyard so important. They're really bottlenecked on ways of getting it in there. Faithless Looting can do some work, but they have to have the creature in hand. And Tomb, just one of the best cards in the deck. Really is. And now Faithless Looting. Things have just spiraled completely out of control at this point. Unmask. And Matthew gonna Veil of Summer to draw a card, but not likely to matter here. He's just so far behind with the Gristlebrand already on board. Animate Dead. And that is gonna do it. Matthew with Eureka blown out there with a really important decision. What would you have done? Would you force of will the Entomb there? Do you try and hit the Animate? Try and get the extra card out of their hand? Let me know in the comments how you would have played against that and what your experience has been playing against Black-Red Reanimator, one of the most dangerous decks in the format. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.